The rain hammered against the tin roof of Miller's Diner, sounding like gunfire. People in this suburb of Seattle were used to rain, but tonight's storm brought a rare, furious rage. Caleb sighed, flipping through the third utility bill this month. He switched off the flickering neon sign outside the window, the red light vanishing, leaving the diner submerged in the gloomy gray of the night sky. "Dad, the jukebox ate my money again." Caleb turned around. Harper was banging on the old music machine in the corner. She wore a baseball cap backward, her face smeared with ketchup. Beside her, Hazel was neatly braiding her hair while drawing on a paper playmat, a stark contrast to her twin sister. "It's old, Harper, like your dad's back." Caleb walked over, giving the machine a gentle pat. With a clunk, the record started spinning. "Time to pack up, kids. Let's head home." "I'm hungry." Hazel looked up, her large eyes staring at him. "The fridge at home only has eggs, right, Dad?" Caleb paused. He ruffled his daughter's hair. "I'll go to the supermarket tomorrow. Tonight, how about some toast?" "Toast again?" Harper scrunched up her nose. "Or you can go hungry." "Toast sounds great, Dad." Harper grinned, revealing a missing tooth. Caleb smiled, but his heart was heavy. The bank loan hung over him like a razor blade. After his wife died, he was discharged early from the military and invested his insurance money into this diner to spend time with his kids. But reality was harsher than he imagined. The red leather booths were worn, customers were scarce, and he was exhausted. The three Millers climbed into their old Ford F-150. The engine roared, whining before rolling into the white curtain of rain. The wipers worked at full speed but couldn't clear the view of the road. "Drive slowly, Dad," mumbled Hazel from the back seat. "I know. Try to sleep a little, both of you." The truck navigated the winding mountain road leading towards the pine forest. Wind whistled through the window cracks. Caleb tightened his grip on the steering wheel, a dull ache in his lower back reminding him of his old injury. Suddenly, a flash of light appeared ahead, followed by a deafening crash that overpowered the thunder. Caleb slammed on the brakes. The pickup truck skidded briefly on the slick road before stopping. About 50 meters away, a sleek black Tesla had barreled through the guardrail, its nose wedged into an old oak tree by the roadside. Smoke billowed up, mingling with the rain. "Stay put. Lock the doors. Don't open for anyone but me," Caleb ordered, his voice dropping to the deep, decisive tone of a commanding officer. "Dad!" Harper tried to lean forward. "Stay put." Caleb grabbed the crowbar from under his seat and rushed out into the downpour. The wind lashed his face. The acrid smell of gasoline, the smell of danger, stung his nose. He ran to the wreck. The front end was crushed, and small flames began to lick underneath the chassis. Inside, the air guides had deployed. A woman was slumped over the steering wheel, her wet blonde hair sticking to her forehead. Caleb yanked the door handle. It was jammed. Without hesitation, he swung the crowbar and smashed the driver's side window. Glass shattered. He reached inside, unlocking the door latch. "Hey, are you awake? Can you hear me?" he yelled over the sound of the rain. No response. The fire intensified under the hood. Time was measured in seconds. Caleb reached in and cut the seatbelt with the folding knife he always carried. He slipped his arms under the woman's armpits, pulling her out with all his might. The pain in his back flared, a stabbing sensation in his spine, but he clenched his teeth and pushed through. Just as they tumbled onto the soaking wet grass a few feet away, the Tesla exploded. The force of the blast sent a wave of searing heat over Caleb's back. He shielded the stranger, gasping for breath. The cold rain quickly soothed the heat. He rolled the woman onto her back. She was still breathing, but faintly. Caleb looked around. The road ahead was blocked by a fallen tree caused by the storm. His phone had no signal. The nearest hospital was 30 miles away, and with the roads like this, an ambulance would never arrive in time. He looked at the stranger in his arms. Her expensive suit was worth more than his truck, but now it was smeared with mud and blood. Caleb lifted her into his arms and rushed back to the pickup. "Dad, is she dead?" Caleb cried when he opened the back door. "No, she needs help." Caleb gently placed the woman on the back seat, next to the two scared children. "We're taking her home." The Ford F-150 turned around, speeding off into the darkness. Caleb glanced in the rearview mirror. The woman was still unconscious. Her appearance on this stormy night brought him a sense of unease. His simple, struggling life with his 2 daughters was about to be turned upside down, starting from this moment. Back at the wooden bungalow, Caleb laid the woman on the old living room sofa. He covered her with a blanket and checked her pulse again. Stable. "Dad," Harper stood at the bedroom door, clutching her stuffed bear with the torn ear. "Who is she?" Caleb stood up, looking at the stranger sleeping soundly on his couch. The dim yellow lamp illuminated her delicate yet sharp features. "I don't know," he said softly, turning off the living room light. "But tonight, she's our responsibility." Morning sunlight streamed through the thin curtains, shining directly onto Olivia Sterling's face, making her squint. Her head throbbed. The first sensation was foreignness. This was not the king-size bed in her penthouse overlooking San Francisco Bay, nor was it the scent of expensive lavender oil she used to lull herself to sleep. Instead, there was the smell of old pine wood, the distinctive damp smell after a storm, and burnt bacon. Olivia bolted upright, a dizzy spell forcing her to grip the arm of the sofa for balance. She looked down at herself. Her bespoke Armani suit was gone, replaced by an oversized red and black flannel shirt that reached past her knees. "What the hell?" she muttered, her voice hoarse. Memories of last night flashed in broken, corrupted snippets. The tense board meeting, the emergency flight to Seattle, the storm, the car spinning out of control, the sound of grinding metal, and then darkness. Olivia shivered, touching her forehead. A small bandage was taped there. She was alive, but where was she? Giggles echoed from the hallway, pulling her from her chaotic thoughts. Olivia stepped onto the cold wooden floor, following the smell of food toward the kitchen. The sight before her froze her at the doorway. In the small kitchen, a large man stood with his back to her, deftly flipping pancakes on a hot griddle. He wore a snug gray t-shirt that showed off his muscular arms and a long scar running down his right elbow. 2 identical little girls sat at the dining table, each pulling at a bottle of maple syrup.
"Give it back! Dad said you have to share with me," the girl with pigtails yelled. "You eat too much, Hazel. You'll get cavities," the other girl, wearing a backward baseball cap, shot back fiercely. "Now, ladies," the man spoke without turning around, his voice deep but commanding. "If that syrup bottle hits the floor, both of you are eating dry pancakes." The children immediately released their grip. The syrup bottle wobbled on the table and thankfully didn't spill. Olivia cleared her throat. Caleb turned around. In that moment, Olivia felt her breath catch. He had deep, steadfast brown eyes, the kind of look that could see through a person's soul, a look she rarely encountered in her deceitful business world. "Good morning," Caleb said, still holding the spatula. "How's your head?" Olivia crossed her arms, trying to regain her usual composure despite wearing a man's shirt. "It feels like I was run over by a truck, which is accurate, I suppose." She looked around the modest kitchen. "Where am I? And more importantly, where are my clothes?" "You're at my place, about 2 miles from where you crashed." Caleb pointed toward an old washing machine in the corner. "I washed and dried your clothes. The shirt you're wearing is mine. Don't worry, I closed my eyes when I changed you." Olivia's face flushed. She wasn't sure whether to feel grateful or embarrassed. "He's not lying," Harper spoke up, her mouth covered in pancake crumbs. "He made us turn our backs too." "Harper, eat," Caleb reminded her, then turned back to Olivia. "Have a seat. I made extra for you." Olivia hesitantly walked over. She pulled out a chair and sat down across from the 2 children. They stared at her as if she were an alien who had just landed. "What's your name?" Hazel asked, blinking her big eyes. "Olivia," she replied curtly. "Olivia Sterling." "Your name sounds like a princess," Hazel giggled. "And you look more like a witch from a cartoon," Harper whispered to her sister, but loud enough for Olivia to hear. Caleb placed a plate of hot pancakes and 2 slices of bacon in front of Olivia, shooting his daughter a warning glare.
Eat up to regain your strength. Coffee's in the pot. Self-serve. Olivia looked at the food. The pancakes were slightly burnt on the edges, the bacon greasy. It was a far cry from the healthy oatmeal and chia seed breakfast her personal chef usually prepared, but her stomach betrayed her with a loud rumble. She picked up a fork, cut a small piece, and put it in her mouth. The unexpected sweetness of the batter mixed with the saltiness of the bacon made her feel surprisingly comfortable. "Thank you," she said softly. "Don't mention it." Caleb sat down at the head of the table, taking a sip of black coffee. "The storm was bad last night. The phone lines went down. But I see the signal is back this morning. You can call your people." Olivia put her fork down, her expression hardening. "I don't have family to call, but I need to call my driver." She stood up, walked to her bag, and retrieved her still damp handbag. Luckily, the modern iPhone was still working. She pressed a speed dial number. "David, locate my phone and get here immediately. No questions. Bring the Seattle project file too." Hanging up, she returned to the table. The atmosphere in the kitchen tightened. Caleb continued eating his breakfast calmly, but she felt his silent scrutiny. "What do you do for a living?" Caleb asked casually. "I invest money to make more money," Olivia replied, her voice icy. The kind of thing people in this area rarely concern themselves with. Caleb raised an eyebrow. "Money can't buy good baking." "But it can buy the best baker in the world to serve me," Olivia retorted, her eyes sharp. The conversation was interrupted by the sound of a car horn outside. A sleek black Cadillac Escalade screeched to a halt in front of the wooden house, utterly out of place amidst the pine trees in Caleb's muddy pickup. Her driver, David, stepped out, opened the back door, and waited with his usual professional demeanor. Olivia sighed in relief. Finally, she could escape this place, escape the smell of dampness and the penetrating gaze of this stranger. She quickly went into the bathroom and changed back into her clean but slightly wrinkled suit. When she emerged, she saw Caleb leaning against the doorframe, arms crossed, watching her. The 2 children were hiding behind him, observing curiously. Olivia pulled her leather checkbook from her handbag. She withdrew her Mont Blanc pen, quickly wrote a series of numbers, and tore off the check, extending it toward Caleb. "Thank you for saving me and giving me shelter," Olivia said, her tone returning to the condescending manner of a CEO. $10,000. I think that's enough to cover your efforts, laundry expenses, and any emotional distress." Caleb looked at the check in her hand. He didn't reach for it. His gaze shifted from the paper to her face, his thick eyebrows slightly furrowed. "You think your life is worth $10,000? Caleb asked, his voice low and dangerous. "Don't misunderstand," Olivia shrugged. "This is how I say thank you. My time is money, and I don't like owing anyone. Take it. You can use it to buy new clothes for the kids or fix this leaky roof." She pressed the check into his hand. Caleb looked down at the thin piece of paper. $10,000. This money could pay off the monthly employee wages, fix the jukebox, and buy Harper the new baseball cleats she desperately wanted. It would solve a lot of his immediate practical problems. But then he looked up at Olivia. He saw no gratitude in her eyes, only the cold fairness of a business transaction. She was trying to buy off his kindness, turning his heroic act last night into a billable service. Caleb slowly raised the check to eye level. "Miss Sterling," he said, his voice strangely calm, "in this house and in this town, when we see someone in trouble, we help because that's what people do for each other, not to make a profit." "Don't be sanctimonious," Olivia scoffed. "Everyone needs money." "Yes, I need money, badly," Caleb admitted, his gaze steady. "But I won't sell my self-respect, and I certainly won't sell the life lesson for my 2 daughters for $10,000. With that, Caleb ripped the check in half. The dry, tearing sound echoed in the quiet space. He let the fragments flutter to the wooden floor, right at the foot of Olivia's expensive heels. "Ma'am, you keep your money and buy some respect with it. We don't sell that here." Olivia was stunned. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. For 10 years in Silicon Valley, she had used money to silence rivals, buy loyalty, and solve every problem. Never, not once, had anyone dared to throw her money on the ground like garbage. Her face burned with anger and shame. She whirled around, stepping quickly toward the door, her heels hitting the floor as if to vent her frustration.
"Let's go, David," she ordered her driver. But as she placed her hand on the Cadillac's door handle, a tiny hand tugged at the lapel of her suit. Olivia looked down with a start. It was Hazel, the girl with the braided hair, her big eyes brimming with tears. In her hand was an old rag doll, its eyes made of buttons, its yarn hair fuzzy. "Ma'am," Hazel whispered, offering the doll. "What is it?" Olivia asked, her voice still trembling with anger. "Please don't be sad," Hazel said, her voice so sweet and genuine it twisted Olivia's heart. "My dad is grumpy sometimes, but he's really kind. He's just worried. Please take Betty. She'll help you not be afraid of thunder anymore." Olivia looked at the worn-out doll in the child's small hand. It wasn't worth a penny compared to her massive wealth, but the way the little girl looked at her, with such concern and forgiveness, it was something she had never seen in board meetings or at lavish San Francisco parties. Caleb stood at the doorway, arms crossed, watching. His expression had softened somewhat, but he maintained his distance. Harper stood beside her father, pouting but silent. A strange feeling rose within Olivia. It was shame, mixed with regret, and a hint of longing. She realized she had just behaved like a complete jerk in the very house that had sheltered her. Olivia's hand trembled as she took the doll. "Thank you, Hazel," she said, her voice catching. She didn't dare look Caleb in the eye again. She slid into the back seat of the luxury car, slamming the door shut as if to separate herself from the outside world, the world where her money had suddenly become meaningless. "Where to, ma'am?" David asked her, looking at her in the rearview mirror, surprised to see his boss clutching a tattered doll. "To the airport, immediately," Olivia said, leaning her head against the window. The car drove away, leaving the small wooden house behind. Olivia looked out the window. She saw Caleb picking up Hazel, kissing her forehead, and all three of them waving goodbye to her car. A simple family image, lacking material wealth, but abundant in love. Olivia looked at Betty, the doll in her hand. Suddenly, a hot tear rolled down her cheek, landing on her expensive Armani suit.
She had millions of dollars in her accounts, but right now she felt like the poorest person in the world, and that feeling hurt more than any car crash. At Miller's Diner, 3 days later. The air in the diner was thick with the smell of grease and gloom. Caleb sat at the register, hands cupping his head. In front of him was a foreclosure notice from the bank. Final notice of asset seizure. "Dad, the customer wants more coffee," Harper shouted from table 4. Caleb looked up, forcing a weary smile. "Coming right up, sweetie." He stood up, his back aching again. He poured coffee for Old Man Thompson, the only regular customer left at this hour. "Caleb," Thompson said, his voice raspy, "I heard the bank is auctioning this place off. What are you going to do?" "I'm working on it, Thompson. I won't lose the diner," though he didn't believe his own words. He had called everyone he could borrow from, but the debt was too large. That woman's $10,000, the thought flashed through his mind. If he had taken it, he might have paid this month's interest. But Caleb shook the thought away. He would rather lose the diner than have his daughters see their father compromise his self-respect. The bell above the door jingled. Caleb turned, ready to say his usual welcome, but the words caught in his throat. A convoy of black cars, led by the familiar Cadillac, pulled up outside the diner, blocking the view of the street. The car doors opened. Olivia Sterling stepped out. But this time, she looked different. Gone was the stiff suit, the cold, heavily made-up face. She wore simple blue jeans, a white shirt with sleeves rolled up to the elbow, and white sneakers. Her blonde hair was tied back in a neat ponytail. She walked into the diner, resolute and confident, but without the arrogance. All eyes in the diner turned to her. Caleb clenched the dish towel in his hand. Why was she back? To mock him? Or to throw another check in his face? Olivia walked straight to the counter, sitting on the stool opposite Caleb. She placed the thick folder on the worn wooden counter.
Black coffee and a slice of apple pie. I hear your apple pie is the best in the area, she said, her voice calm. Caleb stared at her, unmoving. We're out of apple pie. And if you're here to offer me money again, the door is behind you. Olivia didn't flinch. She pushed the folder toward him. I didn't come to give you money, Caleb. I came to collect a debt. Collect a debt? Caleb frowned. What do I owe you? You don't owe me. You owe Seattle Trust Bank, Olivia said, looking him straight in the eye. This morning, I bought out the entire non-performing loan portfolio for this diner from them. Legally, I am now your creditor. Caleb felt the blood rush to his face. What are you playing at? Are you trying to take my diner? On the contrary, Olivia smiled, a rare, gentle expression. I want you to continue owning it, but with one condition. What condition? Caleb growled, feeling like he was walking into a trap. I will waive all interest and extend your repayment period by another 5 years. In exchange, you have to help me spend money. Caleb was dumbfounded. Spend money? Exactly, Olivia tapped her finger on the folder. The accident and the lesson you taught me that night made me think a lot. I have too much money, but too little meaning in life. I want to establish a community investment fund called the Second Chance. It's for people like you, veterans, single parents struggling to start over. She paused, looking around the old but cozy diner. But I only know numbers on paper. I don't know what people actually need out there, what their struggles are. I need a consultant, someone who understands self-respect better than profit. I need you, Caleb. Caleb looked deep into her eyes. He searched for lies, for calculation, but he only saw sincerity and a hint of remorse. Are you serious? He asked, his voice softening. More serious than any $1 million contract I've ever signed, Olivia affirmed. So, are you going to sell me that coffee, or do I have to make it myself? From the corner of the diner, Harper and Hazel peeked out. The princess is back, Dad, Hazel cheered. She looks less like a witch now, Harper commented, nodding. Caleb looked at his 2 daughters, then down at the folder titled The Second Chance. He let out a long breath, feeling half the weight on his shoulders lift. He turned and grabbed the glass coffee pot from the hot plate. Black coffee, no sugar. Caleb placed the mug in front of Olivia. And there's one last piece of apple pie left. Consider it a discount for the new creditor. Olivia picked up the coffee cup, the warmth hitting her face. She smiled, this time with a smile that reached her eyes. Thank you, Caleb, for everything. Outside the window, the persistent Seattle rain seemed to have stopped, revealing a faint patch of sunlight breaking through the gray clouds, illuminating the Miller's Diner sign waiting to be lit up again. 2 very different worlds had collided, not to destroy, but to begin healing their respective cracks. The strong smell of fresh paint filled the small space of Miller's Diner, overpowering the familiar aroma of frying grease. Caleb stood on a ladder, paint roller in hand, spreading bright cream color onto the wall that had been smoked gray for 20 years. You missed a spot there, buddy, Olivia's voice called from below. Caleb looked down. Olivia Sterling, the Silicon Valley billionaire, was wearing denim overalls smeared with white paint, her hair in a messy bun, sanding the surface of an old oak table. She looked like a genuine local girl, if not for the Cartier watch on her wrist she had forgotten to take off. Are you sure you know how to sand? Caleb teased, wiping sweat from his forehead. That table is older than you are. Don't hurt it. I'm giving it a massage, Olivia blew a cloud of wood dust, coughing lightly. You know, running a billion-dollar corporation is easier than trying to smooth out this tabletop. Caleb laughed, a loud, comfortable sound he hadn't made in a long time. That's why I told you to stay in your air-conditioned office and just delegate. No need to come down here to inhale dust. And miss the opportunity to see you paint shirtless? Olivia winked playfully, then immediately flushed and turned away, pretending to focus on her work. Caleb froze for a second, his heart beating a little faster than usual. He looked at her slender back bent over the work. For the past 3 weeks, Olivia had kept her promise. She wasn't just a creditor on paper. She had genuinely rolled up her sleeves. She learned how to brew coffee, how to take orders without writing them down, and most importantly, she learned how to become a part of his family.
"Dad! Miss Olivia! Come to the backyard, quick!" Harper's shout from the back door interrupted both their thoughts. Caleb and Olivia looked at each other and hurried outside. Caleb's backyard was a large but uneven lawn where he had set up a makeshift t-ball stand for his daughters. Harper stood there, holding an oversized baseball bat, while Hazel sat on the swing, cheering. "Watch this!" Harper yelled, her eyes shining. She swung the bat. Thwack! The ball flew high, not far, but high enough to clear the rotten wooden fence. "Home run!" Olivia cheered, clapping enthusiastically. She ran over and high-fived Harper. "Amazing, kid! That swing deserves to be in the major league." "Really, Miss Olivia?" Harper grinned, her baseball cap covering half her face. "Will you pitch to me? Dad's pitching is boring. He always throws it out." Caleb shrugged, feigning hurt. "Hey, I was going easy on you." Olivia laughed, taking off her work gloves and picking up the ball. "All right, let me show your dad how a Sterling pitches." Caleb leaned against the porch post, arms crossed, watching Olivia play with his daughters. The evening sun cast a golden glow on her hair, making it blaze like honey. She laughed, ran, and wasn't afraid to get dirty. The image of the cold, arrogant woman who threw money in his face seemed to have vanished completely. In her place was an Olivia who was warm, approachable, and surprisingly beautiful. "Dad," Hazel tugged lightly at his pants leg, "Olivia braids hair really well, better than you." Caleb looked down at his daughter's intricately French-braided hair. "I know. I only know how to tie it up neatly." "I wish she was here every day," Hazel whispered, her eyes still on Olivia. His daughter's words hit Caleb like an arrow. He wished the same, but he knew she belonged to the world of skyscrapers and first-class flights. This little diner was just a charitable project, a novel experience for her. That night, after tucking the children into bed, Caleb and Olivia sat on the front porch, each holding a cold beer. Crickets chirped in the grass. "You did good today," Caleb said, breaking the silence. "Harper is very particular about who plays ball with her. She likes you." "She has leadership qualities," Olivia smiled, looking up at the star-filled sky. "Strong, decisive, like you."
"And Hazel is like her mother," Caleb's voice lowered. "Gentle, thoughtful." Olivia turned to look at him. This was the first time he had directly mentioned his wife. "Has she been gone long?" 4 years. Cancer. Caleb took a sip of beer, the bitterness sharp on his tongue. "She went fast, left me with 2 kids and a mess. I thought I couldn't get through it." "But you did," Olivia said softly. "You raised them wonderfully. You gave them a home, a proper childhood, something that I never had." Caleb was surprised. "You? I thought you had everything." "I have money, yes," Olivia gave a bitter laugh. "My parents divorced when I was 5. I grew up in boarding schools. Christmas was checks sent through the mail. I learned to make money because I thought it was the only way people would pay attention to me, to prove I exist." She paused, swirling the beer bottle in her hand. "Until that night of the accident, when you pulled me out of the car, when you tore up my check, you showed me something I'd been searching for all my life, but couldn't buy. Authenticity, family." Caleb put his beer down, turning to face her. The distance between them was now only inches. She saw the vulnerability lurking behind those determined blue eyes. She wasn't an ice queen. She was just a lonely young woman trying to build a fortress to protect herself. Olivia, he spoke her name, his voice deep and warm. You don't need to prove anything here. You just need to be yourself. And you don't make bad apple pie either. Olivia laughed, tears welling in her eyes. Are you complimenting or insulting me? Complimenting. Caleb raised his hand, hesitating briefly, then gently wiped a streak of paint from her cheek. His finger was rough, but touched her skin softly. This smudge suits you more than all that makeup. Olivia held her breath. Her heart hammered in her chest. She felt the warmth of his hand, the safety she had longed for. She closed her eyes, leaning her head slightly into his palm. Caleb, she whispered. The air around them seemed to stop. Only the rustling wind through the pine trees remained. Caleb leaned down, the distance between them shrinking. Suddenly, Olivia's phone rang shrilly, shattering the moment. They both jumped back. Olivia fumbled for her phone in her pocket.
Excuse me, I have to take this. Her voice was shaky. Hello? David? What? The board wants an emergency meeting tomorrow morning? But She glanced at Caleb. He had turned away, looking out into the darkness, his face returning to its usual contemplative expression. All right, I'll be there, Olivia said into the phone, her voice dropping in disappointment. She hung up, turning to Caleb. I have to go back to San Francisco. Some trouble at the company. I understand. Caleb stood up, his tone returning to distant. Work is most important. You go ahead. The project here, I'll handle it. It's not like that, Caleb. I'll be back, Olivia quickly explained, stepping forward and grabbing his arm. I promise, as soon as I sort things out, I'll return. Caleb looked at her hand resting on his arm, then into her eyes. He wanted to believe her, but the fear of abandonment, the fear of hoping only to be disappointed was too great. Just go, Olivia. He gently removed her hand. The kids will miss you. Remember to send them a gift. Then he turned and walked into the house, leaving Olivia alone on the silent porch. She watched his back disappear behind the wooden door, her heart heavy. She knew she had just missed a crucial moment, an opportunity to say what her heart was telling her, but the reality outside was calling, and she couldn't completely shed her old self yet, not right now. The next morning, when the twins woke up, the bed in the living room was neatly empty. On the kitchen counter, only a note and 2 brand-new baseball gloves remained. Caleb picked up the note. The handwriting was neat but rushed. Thank you for showing me what a home is. I will keep my promise. Don't let anyone else burn the pancakes. Oh. He folded the note, placing it in his breast pocket, closest to his heart, and started his day with a vague but persistent sense of longing. The smell of charcoal smoke, barbecue, and gunpowder mingled, creating the distinctive scent of the 4th of July. The front yard of Miller's Diner was packed. The whole town seemed to have gathered here to celebrate Independence Day. Caleb stood by the massive grill. Sweat soaked his shirt. He flipped sizzling burgers, but his eyes never left the woman standing at the lemonade stand nearby. Olivia had returned 2 days ago. She wore a vibrant red summer dress, laughing merrily as she scooped lemonade for the children. She looked radiant, natural, and completely belonged here. But an invisible wall remained between them. Caleb was afraid. He was afraid of the disparity between them, afraid that once the novelty wore off, she would miss the skyscrapers again. Are you planning to burn that meat to a crisp? Caleb startled. Olivia had appeared beside him, holding a paper plate. I was just concentrating. Concentrating on the meat or on me? Caleb turned, meeting her teasing gaze. He sighed, wiping his hand on his apron. You know the answer. I don't. You haven't said anything since I got back. Just good morning and thanks for the help. I'm starting to think you hate me. I don't hate you, Olivia. I just... Boom! The first firework exploded in the night sky, cutting him off. Bright blue, white, and red clusters blossomed, reflecting in everyone's eyes. Cheers erupted across the parking lot. Caleb and Olivia stood close together, looking up at the sky. In that noisy moment, the silence between them became suffocating. Suddenly, two small figures squeezed between them. "Dad, you're such a chicken," Harper yelled, holding a sizzling sparkler. "Harper, don't talk to your father like that," Caleb scolded. "She's right," Hazel chimed in, with surprising determination. She grabbed Olivia's hand and pulled. "Miss Olivia, do you like our dad?" Olivia blushed, glancing at Caleb before looking down at Hazel. I'm very fond of your dad." "Just fond?" Harper pouted, twirling her sparkler. "But Dad sits and looks at a picture he secretly took of you when you fell asleep on the sofa every night. He said he likes you best in the whole world, even more than his truck, just a tiny bit less than us." "Harper!" Caleb's face was beet red. He wanted to disappear into the ground. But Hazel wasn't finished. She looked up at Olivia with the most serious expression a 6-year-old could manage. "Mom said she went to become an angel. Our house is missing a mommy. Miss Olivia, will you be our mommy? You don't bake as well as Dad, but you braid hair much better than him."
The space around them seemed to quiet down, despite the booming fireworks overhead. Olivia froze, tears welling up. She looked at the two children, then up at Caleb. Caleb knew he couldn't hide for another second. His daughters were much braver than he was. He dropped to one knee on the grass. There was no preparation, no Tiffany diamond ring. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small object he had made the night she left, a ring meticulously twisted from red copper wire, the kind he used to fix machinery in the diner. "Olivia," his voice was shaky but steady, "I don't have stock options, no mansions. I only have 2 naughty daughters, an old diner, and a heart that was once broken but is now beating for you. Hazel is right. I love you. Will you stay here and put up with the 3 of us?" Olivia burst into tears. She knelt down with him, not caring that her pretty dress was stained with grass and dirt. "I don't just want to stay, Caleb. I relocated the headquarters of the Second Chance Fund to this town yesterday. I'm not going anywhere." "Really?" Caleb was astonished. "Really, because my second chance is here, with you." She offered him her finger. Caleb's hand trembled as he slipped the copper wire ring onto her hand. It fit perfectly. Under the light of the fireworks, the copper ring shimmered, more beautiful than any luxurious jewelry she had ever worn. "She said yes! She said yes!" Harper and Hazel jumped up and down, cheering louder than the explosions. Caleb pulled Olivia into his arms, kissing her deeply amidst the applause of the entire town. Late that night, after all the guests had left, in the open garage, the muddy Ford F-115 was parked next to the sleek Tesla plugged in and charging. 2 completely different cars, yet resting side by side, they felt strangely harmonious. On the porch, the 4 of them were squeezed onto the long bench. Olivia rested her head on Caleb's shoulder, her finger tracing the copper ring. Harper and Hazel had fallen asleep in their laps, their mouths still sticky with apple pie crumbs.